Chuck, always good to talk to you.
Always a pleasure, Ginny.
And I guess it's no surprise this battle with Los Angeles over how they handle applications for concealed carry permits just keeps right on going. People still having trouble getting a permit. So you're headed back to court, and tell us about it.
Yeah, it's been going on for years.
Yeah.
San Francisco and LA are just the two of the worst cities in the country, not just the state, for issuing licenses to carry, and it's really gotten really frustrating with the city of LA. They were sued in '92 and '94 as part of the settlements of both those lawsuits. They agreed to give out applications and guidelines, not just applications, but also the settlement guidelines. They were forced to settle those cases and subject themselves to an ongoing consent judgment that forces them to make applications available, because before that they weren't even making applications available, and to review them in good faith. They even set up a citizens advisory committee to review the applications and tell the chief if they thought the people had good cause. And many of the things that qualify as good cause were actually defined by the settlement. So despite the fact that they were bound by this judgment, the city just keeps backing off and reverting to its old ways and not making applications available, and then not issuing them to people who get them. So now that SB 610 passed this year, it's going to give us a little more of an opportunity to look into what the process is in the city of LA. But on top of that, we wanted to force them to go back and comply with the terms of the judgments from '92 and actually the judgments from like '96. That says they have to make these applications available. They have to issue them in good faith when there is good cause, as the judgment defines that term. So the city was trying to hold back documents. They didn't want us to be able to see how they had been reviewing applications. So we had to go to court, and that's the most recent thing that happened. The court granted our motion to force them to produce the documents about how they process applications now, so that we can show that the way they've been doing it does not comply with the judgment. And we'll be forcing them after that to comply with the judgment and then seeking our attorney's fees.
And it looks like even though you have this advisory panel, the citizens advisory panel, they're making the recommendations to the chief, and he looks like he's just looking the other way on it, isn't he?
He ignores them.
Yeah.
Pays no attention, even if they satisfy the terms of the judgment and have what the judgment defines as good cause. And remember, just so we don't cause the listeners any confusion, there are a number of battles going on about licenses to carry in California. This is sort of maybe this is something to prevent us to guard our flank, so to speak. We have a head-on challenge in the Ninth Circuit right now to force all the jurisdictions in California to recognize that self-defense satisfies the good cause requirement. Now that we have Heller and McDonald from the Supreme Court confirming what we all knew all along, that the Second Amendment does protect a fundamental individual right. So with that in our back pocket, we can be more aggressive in other litigation. But this litigation is just to force them to do something they already committed to do.
But they're just ignoring, they're even ignoring the court in this agreement they reached. But what's amazing, too, is you'll look at some of these people. They said, they went and these LAPD officers bluntly told them that unless they were celebrities, forget it. Don't even apply.
Yeah, that's right. And that's been the way it's been there for, 30 years.
Yeah, and nothing's changed. And even you go to court and they still do it the old way.
Before the last two lawsuits were filed in '92 and '94, before those judgments, they hadn't issued a permit for 18 years. Mm-hmm. Not one. They finally issued one to Chief Willie Williams, and he didn't have good cause, because he needed a permit because he couldn't pass the police exam. He wasn't officially a police officer.
It'd be interesting to see if you could talk. I mean, have you talked to anybody on this panel to see what they're talking about when they see these cases come through?
Yeah. They meet periodically, and we look at the applications and make sure that some people don't qualify.
Yes. Under
the terms of the judgment. I mean, everybody essentially qualifies the way I see it now under the Second Amendment. But for the purposes of this lawsuit and for that panel's purposes, they have to go by what the judgment is. That's what the city has to go by, too, for now. But, there are lots of qualified applicants that meet the criteria of the judgment that still get turned down by the city.
And so, along with this motion, you filed a lawsuit that involves 9 citizens. And you look at this police chief. I mean, and it's pretty obvious. He has the definition of good cause, and if you're not a celebrity like these people found out, you're not getting a permit.
Well, his definition is nobody has good cause, and that's that's the way they've been for years.
Yeah.
That's the institutional attitude of the urban areas in particular. They just don't want to give gun licenses to anyone, and they play a lot of games to avoid having to do it. And this is just one of them. They try and they make us sue them before they finally comply, and then we have to watch them even after we sue them. I mean, we're essentially getting ready to move to hold the chief in contempt of court for violating these orders. That's how closely we have to watch him, because if you let it go for a couple of years, they just fall back into their own old ways.
You'd think by now LA would say, hey, we're getting sick of spending money on these dang lawsuits, but they just keep going.
A city on the verge of bankruptcy.
Unbelievable. You got to wonder what these taxpayers are saying. My gosh. Unbelievable. Yeah. But anyway, it's been a long year. You've been fighting these battles a long time, and all I can say is happy holidays, because we'll be doing more of the same in 2012.
Yeah, Jeannie, that's a good point. We'll have an alert going out in next week, right after Christmas, right before New Year's, talking about all the things we've done over the last year through the NRA and the CRPA Foundation Legal Action Project and the Local Ordinance Project. And folks should watch their email boxes and subscribe through my website at michellelawyers.com or through the CRPA website for those alerts, because it's been a very, very busy year.
Oh, it sure has.
Very, very hard to defend everybody's rights. I want people to know what their associations are doing for them, and hopefully they'll give us the money that we need to keep fighting the fights in court. Unfortunately, they're expensive, no matter what kind of generous rates NRA negotiates with its attorneys. It's still expensive to go to court. So we need all the help we can get.
Yep. All righty, thanks. And as I said, happy holidays from all of us here.
Happy holidays.